Alongside three-time Super Bowl winning executive and strategist, Mr. Michael Lombardi. I'm Stormy Bonantoni. A lot to get to over the course of the next hour. But Michael, there is always something on your mind this time of year. And that's how I want to start off this hour. What is on Michael's mind? Where are we starting?
Well, we're going to start with Caleb Williams, right? His big pro day. We got everybody out there. Keenan Allen's out there. Yeah. The Bears contingency's out there. Everybody's going to come watch a stage workout, which will have nothing to do with what he does on the field. But it will be some insight into, to me, how people react to him, how he kind of handles himself. The workouts should be flawless because, as Bucky Brooks said in the last hour, they're scripted. I went up to the University of Washington to see Jake Locker's workout. The ball never touched the ground. I left there saying, well, I didn't learn anything about this workout at all because it was so staged, it was perfect, and everything went well. But to me, Williams' tape it comes back to, and I think that's going to be the key, how he handles the conversations about ball security, what he does in the pocket. No one's going to be able to coach him on the field. So that's going to be fine. I think it's the off-the-field one-on-one interactions that we're going to learn a lot about and how he handles himself. And I think that's what everybody's going to watch.
Yeah, and to your point, all of the Bears' big brass in attendance, GM Ryan Poles, head coach Matt Eberflus, their offensive coordinator Shane Waldron, up to 8 members of the organization I read are there. Similar, the Commanders and Patriots, lots of folks there to see Caleb Williams get underway. RG3, Michael, and I know you talked about this on Pat McAfee yesterday. RG3 said that he thinks Williams should pull an Eli Manning and do everything possible to avoid playing in Chicago. We heard him at the Combine say if the Bears draft him or anyone draft him, he's going to be excited to be there. He wants to go to a team that wants to have him. And the Chicago Bears are in a unique situation where they actually weren't the worst team in the league last year and have the opportunity to take Caleb Williams. What do you make of those comments from RG3?
I mean, to me, I don't know what RG3 is talking about, right? I have no idea. Like, why would he not want to go play? It's one of the great historical franchises of all time because it's cold. I mean, seriously, and what leverage do you have if you don't go play? What, you want to go back to USC? Okay, you go back to USC. What happens, next year? What happens if somebody else gets the pick that you don't like? I think, to me, those are the conversations you want to have, and you're going to become the face of a franchise. Did it bother Joe Burrow? I mean, to me, it's just, RG3 just talks out of both sides. It just kind of, it's for hits. It's for clicks. It's not relevant. I don't think anybody's paid attention to it, frankly. I don't think anybody really cares about what he says because when it comes to what the player says is all that matters. What he would do is insignificant. One of the things you learn in the Patriot way is don't, speak for yourself. When Caleb Williams says it, I'll listen to it. When RG3 says something about Caleb Williams, I'm ignoring it.
Whether it's Caleb Williams or anyone else, but obviously the assumption based on the odds and everything that we have heard is that it will be him at number 1. He's minus 3,500 to be the top overall pick, minus 3,000 to be drafted by the Bears specifically. But it's like, regardless of who comes in at quarterback, I think that what they have done in order of putting like pieces around whatever young quarterback is that they get in there, assuming that it's Williams, they're in a pretty good position offensively to have some success in a defense that we saw get significantly better the back end of last year. Like this is not your typical worst team in the league that gets a top overall pick. This was a 7-win team last year that looked to be getting better.
Yeah, and we said the same thing about Carolina last year. And look how that worked out for you and I both.
There.
All right. Sorry about that. I was in that boat rowing with you there.
Yeah.
Look, here's what I will say. Why is Keenan Allen there if he doesn't think the player's going? Like, Keenan Allen wouldn't be paying any attention to this if he didn't think Caleb Williams was somebody he watched and scouted. He's a Pac-12 guy, played at Cal, right? So he knows him. He's excited about being a Bear because they know they're going to draft him. He is the best quarterback in terms of the tapestry of work that he has put into college football. So there's some concerns, no doubt. Is he generational? I'm not ready to go there, but there's a lot I like about Caleb Williams that can be corrected, you hope. So with Keenan Allen's presence there, that tells you a lot, right? Those guys don't just show up to workouts just out of the blue. So I think that's significant.
He is all decked out in his new Browns gear, too, by the way. Hat, hoodie, everything. Keenan Allen's ready to go with his new squad. Other pro days underway today. Ohio State's pro day. Marvin Harrison Jr. sticking with his plans, though, of not working out for scouts today because he is the only prospect at Ohio State that's expected to be taken in the first few rounds, and he's not working out. No GMs, no head coaches around the league are showing up there at Ohio State, which is not the norm for a program like that. And something that Bucky Brooks said earlier when he joined us really did say something to me that it's it is a massive bummer for any of those other players that would like to get some additional eyeballs on them because the star's not there. So the big important people in these organizations aren't getting a chance to see these other guys and letting them shine as well.
Well, but they still can work out, and they're still going to put times up there, and it's going to get taped, and everybody's going to watch the tape. It just doesn't have the same cachet that typically goes with an Ohio State workout where there's so many first-round picks or so many, day one and day two picks that it took a little bit away. But it's not going to take away from the players at workout if they excel to match their tape. So I think they're still in good standing there. The Marvin Harrison thing's interesting because Neighbors is really a good player. And I'm not saying Marvin's not, because he is. He's a big man. He knows how to run routes. He has great pace. He has great balance. But Neighbors is unique, and I think to me there's a lot to say about that. And that doesn't mean that if Harrison doesn't go one, that Neighbors is better. I'm just saying I think this is a little bit like it's who do you like and what do you think fits for you and what are you looking for in an outside receiver. Neighbors can take the top off of the defense. He will have a great workout at LSU because he is a great athlete.
And in terms of the odds right now, Marvin Harrison Jr. minus 650 to be the first non-quarterback selected. Neighbors 5-1, Joe Alt 20-1, Rome Odunze, Dallas Turner, Brock Bowers 30-1, and then Brian Thomas Jr. at 50-1. But when it comes to Marvin Harrison Jr., there was a report from our guy Albert Breer, good friend of the show. He joins us often. He did a little layout on Marvin Harrison Jr.'s logic prior to the combine about why he wasn't going to work out in Indy, why he wasn't going to work out at his pro day. And apparently when he was out there in Indianapolis, he asked the nine teams that he met with if they needed to see anything at pro day, and they all said no. That sounds like, you tell me, you've been in that position as a GM, as a scout, somebody involved in personnel. That sounds pretty interesting to me that nobody said, yeah, we would like to see you work out at your pro day.
I don't think you can get 9 teams to agree on anything, right? I don't think you can get 9 teams to agree on the order of wide receivers. I don't think you can get 9 teams to agree on the order of quarterbacks. I can't imagine. Look, here's the reality. All the teams need a database. We're in the information business. We're trying to collect the information. We're trying to get a 40 time on the player. We're trying to get a medical. We're trying to see his hands, all those things. I can't believe everybody said, nah, don't work out. You're all good. I'm not buying that one. I'm just not. And because you can't get any of this to happen. You just can't get them to buy into that completely. And so every team wants to see this guy visually. I'm not saying that's going to hurt him. You just want to see it. Every great player has worked out, including Randy Moss, all of them.
Again, minus 650 to be the first non-quarterback selected, $2 to be the number 4 overall pick. The Arizona Cardinals currently in that position. Some other notable pro days today, Alabama and Texas. For Texas specifically, Michael, Quinn Ewers is going to be throwing. Obviously, they've got a couple of really talented wide receivers, one of which broke the record for the 40 at the combine just a couple weeks ago. But as a scout, when you're at a pro day and a player isn't coming out that year, is this still a good opportunity to see what that player's got? Because Quinn Ewers obviously going back to Texas this year, but for a batch of quarterbacks next year that's not expected to necessarily be at the level that this year's group is this good to get eyeballs on him?
Anytime you can watch a player, you got to do it, especially at the quarterback position. The more you can learn about every player, it's a great experience to do it. So, yeah, that's why those, Elite 11 camps, all those things go back to the high school tape. It really helps you kind of who is the player, how has he matured, how has he defined himself. Quinn going back to Texas, they should have a good team going in the Southeast Conference. We'll see how that all reacts to it, but I think it's important. And the junior time is really important because sometimes, when you get to that senior year, it just doesn't. Look at Caleb Williams. His senior year was nowhere near what it was his junior year. The team around him wasn't very good. They let some guys go. They brought in some transfer guys in the portal that didn't live up to expectations. and the USC defense was atrocious. So I think anytime you get a look at a player, you got to take advantage of it.
And a producer, Elliot, and I were joking last year when C.J. Stroud had his pro day at Ohio State. Marvin Harrison Jr. was the one catching most of those balls, so maybe he just got ahead of it and did his pro day early, right?
Yeah, no question. And it helps C.J. because he was thrown to somebody he's very comfortable with. And that's important, right? That's important. That's why they don't like to throw at the combine, because they don't have a feel for the route. There's no rhythm between the receiver and the quarterback. You want to throw to somebody that you've been throwing to for a while, that you've been rehearsing this script, because that's what's going to happen today. Caleb Williams has rehearsed this script at USC numerous times with these receivers. Probably for the last 3 weeks he's been doing that. And during that time, he understands what he has to do.
Again, Caleb Williams today. We will see LSU's Jaden Daniels and North Carolina's Drake May's pro day coming up next week, March 27th and 28th, I believe, and J.J. McCarthy this coming Friday over at Michigan.
That'll be an interesting one.
Go ahead.
That'll be J.J. and Bo Nix had a lot of people there. I think J.J. is going to have a lot of people there. Jaden Daniels will have a lot of people there. And I'm sure Michael Penix, when he decides to do his thing, now he worked out at the combine, but I'm sure he'll have a lot of people watching him too.
No question about it. We're going to hit the break here real quickly on the Lombardi line. When we come back, news or noise in the NFL. Is this team moving on at quarterback just 1 year after signing him to a new deal? Also, how much should we read into Brandon Ayuk's social media? Michael's going to help us sift through the insignificant during this quick timeout. This is the Lombardi line on VSiN, the Sports Betting Network.
This is the Lombardi Line with former NFL executive Michael Lombardi. Now here is your host, Stormy Bonatoni, on VSiN, the Sports Betting Network.
Before round one of the NCAA tournament tips off, start betting smarter with a VSiN Pro subscription. When you sign up today, you get your first year for only $199 instead of our usual $240 price. But you need to use our promo code Lombardi. That'll get you VSiN Pro access to everything we do for the whole year. That means our daily best bets with the leaderboard to see which VSiN expert has the hot hand. Betting splits showing you where the money and bets are moving for every game. Betting systems, premium analysis, 24/7 video access, plus our March Mania betting guide out now with best bets for each and every game and round of the tournament. Remember, though, you got to use that promo code Lombardi. That gets you your first year of VSiN Pro access for $199. VSiN.com/subscribe is how you can do it.
Is it news?
Corleone is a man who insists on hearing bad news immediately.
Or just noise?
Are you going to act like this is news? Just noise. This is noise.
Let's separate the impactful from the insignificant with one simple question. News or noise?
Let's get to it. Lots of worthy headlines today in news or noise, starting with the New York Giants, Michael, who hosted quarterback prospect J.J. McCarthy for a top 30 visit last week. They also brought in North Carolina quarterback Drake May to East Rutherford and have GM Joe Shane at Caleb Williams Pro Day today in Southern Cal. So the Giants currently have the 6th overall pick in this year's draft, and they are clearly doing their due diligence on the quarterback class, Michael. News or noise? What should we be reading into this?
I think it's news, and I think it's a year too late, but it's news. I think they've come to the realization that, they need to explore this, that maybe Daniel Jones isn't the guy. As much as they hope he would be the guy, maybe he isn't. I think it's a good step forward. Now, if they draft a quarterback and they put him in the game, they get him to go. If to say, I would think, that J.J. McCarthy would be somebody that appeals to him. But look, if you're Joe Shane and you're Brian Daboll, the success you had in Buffalo went all back to being able to get the best quarterback for their team, which was Josh Allen. And right now, we said it last year, we don't believe it's Daniel Jones, and have never believed it was Daniel Jones. And now's the time to go get one, because I think a lot of teams are looking at it. And if you wait till next year, there may not be one.
Yeah, those reports coming out of the combine that maybe there is some buyer's remorse when it comes to the Giants. But so the follow-up, I guess, to that is, with this contract, they obviously built it to have the availability of getting out of it after 2 years. But this year, let's say you do draft a quarterback. Is that a situation where the only answer is he plays behind Daniel Jones and you see if he gets in? Or could you have interest in moving off Daniel Jones right now, perhaps to a Broncos, for example, who only have Jarrett Stidham and Ben DiNucci in their quarterback room? What do you think about that?
I think that makes a great amount of sense, and I think it's something to think about because you signed Drew Lock to be the backup, right? And now Drew Lock kind of played and slow played the idea that he was competing for a starting job, but John Schneider came out and said that, and he wanted Lock back, but he couldn't do it. Now, they only paid him $5 million, but give him a chance to earn some incentives.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I think, look, if they get the right guy, why not? Jones could have some value in some other team, especially, but he's got guaranteed money, and it's going to be hard. As we're seeing some of these players with guaranteed money, teams don't want to take them. It's like, look at Zach Wilson. They can't even give Zach Wilson away.
Mm-hmm. Where we sit right now in terms of odds, Giants minus 175 to take a wide receiver with that number 6 overall pick, plus 145 to go QB. There's been some rumblings, Michael, over the last 48 hours that the Steelers are potentially interested in trading for 49ers wide receiver Brandon Ayuk. Yesterday, Ayuk took to social media writing, "At Coach Tomlin, they say we're twins. What do you think?" And then, so at first I saw this and I was like, don't do this to me, Brandon. Don't do this to me. But then you look at the pictures and, like, they really do look alike. I mean, Brandon Ayuk's from Reno, Nevada. Tomlin, you spend much time there? Like, he looks just like him. It's crazy. So, is this news or noise? Is he actually putting a feeler out there saying, hey, Coach Tomlin? Or is he just acknowledging that I look a lot like you, dude?
I think it is news. I think they definitely want to sign him back, but I think also the way the 49ers have been very shrewd. We saw this when they traded DeForest Buckner away, right? I think there was a rumor a week or two ago about how they were talking about trading, Ayuk to Jacksonville for Zay Jones and a first-round pick. Whether that was true or not, I don't know. But I do think they're measuring twice, whether they sign them to a long-term deal or do they trade them now to get value on them. They know this about the 49ers. They need more juice on the outside. Mm-hmm. They know that. They're an inside the middle of the field passing game. They need explosiveness on the outside. They're very good with yards after the catch when they get the ball in their receivers' hands. But they need somebody out there that can do that. And I think they would like it to be Ayuk, but if they can't, I think they'll move it around and see what else they can do.
Yeah, John Lynch has been open about saying that they want him back. I know I, as a fan, certainly want him back, but the Steelers, especially since they moved on from Deontay Johnson, Mike Williams ends up going to the Jets. They need somebody opposite George Pickens, and given what you're paying Russell Wilson and Justin Fields, you have the money at your disposal to be able to give somebody, and Ayuk probably saw Jerry Jeudy's deal and said, how about mine? So you don't blame him at all. We mentioned Marvin Harrison Jr. in the first block. Chris Sims, he did his wide receiver tiers this week, and we already know that he stirred up some people with his quarterback tier, having Drake May as QB6. He has Marvin Harrison Jr., Michael, not as wide receiver 2, wide receiver 3, behind not only Malik Neighbors, but Brian Thomas Jr. as well, both LSU running backs. News or noise?
I think it's news. I mean, I think he's, look, Christopher has done this for a living. He's done it in the league. And I think he has an understanding of what it is. But I think this is his opinion. It doesn't make it right. But I think when you watch the tape on these receivers, I think they're clustered together more than there's this idea that one is so farther ahead than somebody else. I think that's the reality here, Stormy. I think that there's a cluster. You may choose Harrison over Neighbors. You may choose Neighbors over Harrison. You're not wrong. I'm not saying you're wrong, but I think there's a cluster within this that's closer than the outside world that DraftNix would lend you to believe there is.
Marvin Harrison Jr., minus 650 to be the first non-QB selected. But if you believe this, you think Malik Neighbors could be that guy, and teams like him 5-1 for him to be the first non-QB selected. New Saints defensive end Chris Young agreed to a one-year, $13 million deal this week. But according to ESPN's Adam Schefter, he had neck surgery yesterday and is expected to be sidelined into training camp. Schefter reporting the team was aware of the issue and felt comfortable still proceeding with the deal. News or noise for Chase Young?
No, I think it's news. It's definitely news. Anytime you take a guy with a neck injury, you're always worried, right? And what kind of neck? We don't know the details. They do at the Saints. But the way they structured the contract, I know it came out as 13 guaranteed, but I'm sure there's protection within the team in terms of that. So, yeah, it's a worthy risk. But now we know why there kind of was. They took that risk. Some other teams perhaps wouldn't have taken it.
Had the ACL injury in 2021, never been quite the same since. Now throwing a neck injury in there doesn't sound ideal. Let's go out to Cleveland. According to Browns insider Mary Kay Cabot of Cleveland.com, Deshaun Watson is going to begin some light throwing next week. Tight end David Njoku and Watson's private quarterback coach Quincy Avery flew out to LA, where he's been rehabbing, to work with Watson this week. And I mean, given that the Browns, Michael, we talked about it all week, they signed Jameis Winston, Tyler Huntley to complement a quarterback room that's already got Dorian Thompson-Robinson in it. Is this news or noise when it comes to Watson's return timeline?
I think it's news. And I think the fact that you add this to Tyler Huntley that they signed, then it's definitely news. I don't think there's any question about that. This is definitely news. And as you go through it, I think there's some concern, not saying it's going to happen, that he may not be 100% come opening day. And if that's the case, you got to make sure you give Winston a fully guaranteed contract on a one-year deal. You bring Huntley in. And you had to tell Huntley something to get him to leave Baltimore, to leave another team as a backup, to come in. Now you're the third-string quarterback, and you've got Dorian Thompson-Robinson on your roster that you think you have some hope for. So for me, I think this is definitely news. I think I'm not sold that he's going to be able to play right away, because all the behavior and the actions of the Browns tell me no. Like, for example, today they signed Deontay Foreman. Now, that's a good protection if Nick Chubb isn't ready to go, right? You know, he's a big back. You know, when Foreman's going, he's going, right? He's hard to tackle. Now, he's been on a bunch of different teams, and every time he gets paid, he usually ends up getting cut the next year, like what happened in Chicago, right? But for me, I think there's no question that Watson's injury or the ability to rehab has got to cause some concern.
And that's great to have in mind, because all of the reports outwardly so far has been, hey, even if he's limited in the offseason program, he'll be full go for training camp. But the moves that they are making are not signifying the same thing. So good to keep that in mind. Deshaun Watson, 60-1 in the MVP market, by the way. Caleb Williams and Kyler Murray with shorter odds. Just a fun fact there for you. One more last minute here real quickly.
And Justin Fields are shorter odds.
His odds have gotten longer, 65-1 now. So people are recognizing.
65.
Still shorter than Russell Wilson. But one more here. Jimmy Garoppolo arrived in L.A. to sign with the Rams Tuesday. When asked about his 2-game suspension for violating the PED policy, he said, "I hate to joke about it, but I just messed up the therapeutic use exemption when I first got to Vegas. Bad timing." News or noise?
I think it's news. He's honest, right? I think look, I said this from the beginning. I had no belief that Jimmy was taking something to enhance his performance on the field from a player standpoint. I felt like, and I mentioned this on the air, that oftentimes players will take stuff, whether they get it from Germany, Canada, maybe that's not FDA approved, but they know it works in other countries. And so it may not, and it may be on the banned substance of the NFL. Now, sometimes if you don't go through the trainer to get your prescriptions filled and follow the protocol like that, a situation like this happens.
He'll be unavailable to back up Matt Stafford those first 2 games. We'll be right back on the Lombardi Line.
This is the Lombardi Line with former NFL executive Michael Lombardi. Now here is your host, Stormy Buonantony, on VSiN, the Sports Betting Network.
Get ready to dominate your brackets. Turn your picks into profits this tournament with the VSiN Pro March Mania Betting Guide. Inside the guide, we have expert strategies, insider tips, and in-depth analysis. It'll give you the edge you need to outshine the competition. From underdog upsets to championship predictions, the VSiN Pro Betting Guide's got brackets from our hosts and experts, NCAA tournament betting trends from Steve Mackinnon, and of course, best bets for each and every round and game of the tournament. Don't miss out, though. This is a game changer. Download the VSiN Pro March Mania Betting Guide today at vsin.com/madness. That's VSIN.com/madness. Stormy Buonantony and Michael Lombardi with you as we welcome you back to the Lombardi Line. And joining us now on the Progressive Guest Line, none other than Harry Gagnon, host of the Against All Odds podcast with cousin Sal. He's going to be making his way out here to Vegas later on today, getting set for the tournament tomorrow. And I cannot believe you've been doing our guy Michael dirty like this, sending him all of the videos that you watching Bruce Springsteen yet again. Don't even bring him with you. What's happening here?
Yeah, look, it started again last night here in my hometown of Phoenix. Mike, Stormy, I've asked Mike numerous times over the last year and a half to join us and come out and let's hang. But soon, we'll do it sometime, Michael. Sometime. It was great last night.
And how was it? Give me I didn't hear your review. Was it a good show? A little different set list than before. Was it a good show?
different set list. He did, which he didn't have to towards the end, Michael, he did apologize for being sick, and he said he had a tummy ache, and hope it didn't hurt anyone's plans, having to flip-flop things around. So, but it was great. It was loud there in the Footprint Center where the Suns play. It was electric, and I'm going again on Friday night. I'll be with my phone. I'll be checking NCAA scores and watching Bruce at the same time, so it should be fun Friday night.
Harry, since you travel all over the country for these, we need to get one out there in Philly so that Michael can go and you'll make the trip there, because I think that's always a little bit easier because you like traveling all over the country for these things. See,
I do.
I'm an idea man.
I do. Yeah, and I know Michael still has tickets from when Bruce canceled in Philly last year, so he's got those tickets still, and it's been rescheduled. I think I'm going to Pittsburgh. I have tickets for my buddy's got tickets for Pittsburgh, so I think we're going to Pittsburgh. I'm trying to talk him into Philly, Stormy, so me and Michael connect.
There you go. Perfect. Well, hopefully, well, Bruce, I know he's a little bit sick. Hopefully nobody in the tournament is sick because we need some bets to cash here coming up soon.
Yeah.
Harry, as you look to all the round one action that's set to get underway tomorrow, do you have a game that immediately, your eye was drawn to? What was your analysis as you went through things?
Right off the bat, early action in the morning. I like Mississippi State, Michigan State to go under 130.5. Now, 4 of the Spartans' last 6 games have been under that 130 number. Mississippi State's D has been very good of late. They're just 2-5 overall in the last 7, but their D victory over Tennessee in the SEC tournament was very impressive, and they held the Vols to 56 points in that game, and just 22% shooting from 3-point range in that game. And Michigan State's last 4 games from 3-point range. But this bodes well for Michigan State's Mississippi State's defense, where they shot just 11, 22, and 32% from the field. In the other game, they only shot 8 threes in that game. So Michigan State, Mississippi State, both MSUs under 130.5.
And then you like the over. You like Charleston and Alabama, which is a potent offensive team from the Southeast Conference. You like them to go over in their game.
I do. That's the highest total on the board, but I still like it going over 173.5 between Bama and Charleston. Charleston averages 81 points a game. They scored 82 or more in 4 of the last 5 games, guys. And Alabama averages 90 points a game. That is the most in the country. They scored 96, Alabama did, in their opening round tournament game last year, and Bama has gone over that 173 in 9 of their last 10 games overall. Cougars and Crimson Tide go for 180. That game is on Friday.
There is one of these games, one of these underdogs that you and I are simpatico on here for the first round. I love taking the points with McNeese. I have them advancing pretty far in my bracket as well. And you're taking them on the money line against Gonzaga here early. What makes you like this squad?
Look, I'm against all odds. I've been giving out McNeese for the past month and a half. I love McNeese in this situation. You mentioned money line in the first game, Stormy. They lead the country in point differential, which is pretty impressive. They dominated the Southland Conference. They were 5th best in the nation in points allowed as well. They're playing Gonzaga. The Gonzaga Bulldogs are not the Zags of old. No Drew Timme anymore. Not West Coast Conference regular season champs anymore. Not West Coast Conference tournament champs anymore. I like McNeese here a lot to steal this one. You get it like plus 210. And also, Sweet 16, McNeese you can get. I got them going deep too, Stormy. I got them winning the first 2 games. I got them going to the Sweet 16. You get that at plus 710. Head coach Will Wade is a mid-major savant. Did a great job at VCU. And I think they can move on here too because they get to either play Stanford or a banged-up Kansas team, which is overrated in the second round. I think that this is a nice little path for McNeese. It can be very interesting to see them in the Sweet 16.
And your hometown team, Grand Canyon, you like them too, huh, Harry?
I do. Again, I know we've talked about this team a couple times, guys. Lopes up. I'm all over them on the money line and get them at around plus 200. I love a lot of these 12s versus the 5s in this tournament. They've made the tournament 3 times out of the last 4 years, Grand Canyon has. They lost to Gonzaga last year. Now they have another shot at a West Coast Conference team in St. Mary's. They're led by Tyon Grant Foster, averages 20 and 6 for Grand Canyon. He's a monster on the boards. He led the team in scoring in 10 straight games. I think he leads the Lopes to a 12-5 upset against St. Mary.
Love some of those upset specials. Again, that line's sitting 5.5 right now, total 131.5. Harry, there's been a lot of feelings about the committees and how they mucked things up, and Virginia's performance yesterday against Colorado State, a prime example, at least one of many that I anticipate that we see coming up as the first round action gets underway. Are there any teams that you just think, wow, really seated improperly, cannot believe they got placed here or there? Maybe that makes you look to fade them moving forward. What was your approach to the bracket from that standpoint?
Yeah, definitely. Like I just mentioned, Kansas. Kansas gets a 4 seed, probably based on their history, I would think. But they finished tied for 5th in their own conference in the Big 12. Kevin McCullough's not going to play. The leading scorer gets over 18 points a game. Banged up. Dickinson's banged up as well. They finished 1-4 down the stretch in their last 5. And the last 2 games, they're a 4 seed, guys, and they lost their last 2 games by a combined 50 points to Houston and Cincinnati. And Cincinnati's not even in the tournament. I don't understand that one, and I just don't understand Dayton getting the 7th seed either. They were 3-3 down the stretch and didn't make it to the conference tournament final. They finished third in the regular season, the Atlantic 10. Richmond and Loyola, who finished ahead of them, did not get in. Best non-conference wins for Dayton are against LSU and St. John's. Neither of them got into the tournament either. I do not understand how Dayton got a 7.
How about, and you're anti-St. John's. Why are you on the Red Storm like that? I mean, what you buying into what Pitino said about his home team?
That wasn't great what he did, but also I'm a Syracuse fan, so I'm going a little against here St. John's. But I just think that St. John's, listen, you still got, playing tough is one thing, but you still got to pull some games out. They were 1-6 combined against Creighton, UConn, and Marquette in the Big East. Their best non-conference win was Utah, who didn't get in the tournament. They had 9 wins. 9 of their wins were against the bottom of the Big East with Georgetown, Butler, DePaul, and Xavier. They beat Sacred Heart. They beat our buddy Bill Simmons, Holy Cross. Michael, I just don't understand. And I think people who are complaining about St. John's getting in, I think they should have definitely not got in. And I think Seton Hall should have got in even ahead of them. Seton Hall beat them 2 out of 3 and played a much tougher non-conference schedule.
Harry Gagnon joining us here on the Progressive Guest Line. This is the Lombardi Line on VSiN, the Sports Betting Network. So remind the people at home, too, what you've got going on this weekend in Las Vegas. So if anybody's local, make sure you head out here and hang out with Harry and Cousin Sal and the crew. But what's the lowdown? What can you share with folks? Yeah,
thanks, guys. Yeah, listen, I'm going to be on a plane later today, tomorrow morning, early, 9 to 4, me and Cousin Sal on Thursday. On Friday, Tate Frazier's going to be with us, Michael. Tate's going to be with us. We are doing a party. We are doing a watch party at Jimmy Kimmel Comedy Club right behind the link on the Strip in Las Vegas. It's going to be a lot of fun. We're going to be having giveaways. We're doing race to 10 on all those early games from 9 to 4 where, listen, we pick a team, and if they hit the first team to score 10, you're going to get $10. It's just like you could break it in all day. You could be there all day and make $80 if we go 8-0. 160 if we go 16-0 on Thursday and Friday combined. But yeah, 9 to 4, Thursday, Friday, Jimmy Kimmel Comedy Club. Should be a blast.
You're awesome, Harry. Appreciate your time as always, buddy. Safe travels.
Thanks, Harry. Good luck. Enjoy it.
Thanks, Michael. And I'll send you some more videos Friday night from Depot Olympic.
You're making him jealous, Harry. I can't wait. We got to make sure that we have our cameras in action all week on those first to 10s. Like, don't just have the cameras live during the end of games with time winding down. Like, we need fan reactions, sportsbook reactions when those first to 10s start cashing. We're going to hit the break here. When we come back, we're wrapping up this Wednesday edition of the Lombardi Line with a little Why Not Wednesday. You know, it's the only way we know how. Could all 4 top seeds miss the Final 4? Will this quarterback have a new home and 40-plus touchdowns? We'll break it all down when we come back.
This is the Lombardi Line with former NFL executive Michael Lombardi. Now here is your host, Stormy Buonantony, on VSiN, the Sports Betting Network.
There's never been a better time to have skin in the game with DraftKings Sportsbook, because right now we have a VSiN exclusive offer for new DK customers. Earn a $500 bonus bet for every $1,000 you wager. You can earn up to $2,500 in bonus bets your first 3 days on DraftKings. Don't wait. Download the app now and use our promo code Lombardi when you sign up. That'll get you $500 bonus bet for every $1,000 you wager right now.
may be a stupid one, but I'm just spitballing here.
Can it make you say why not?
That wasn't a stupid question.
It's time for Why Not Wednesday.
I mean, why not?
You know when they say it's so crazy it just might work?
It's time to get weird on a Why Not Wednesday. Which of these long shot props could make our guy Michael say, hey, why not? Let's throw it in there. Let's start in college hoops. Colorado State got a win in the first 4 yesterday over Virginia to advance to the actual field, Michael. Could you say why not to CSU going from the first 4 to the final 4, 40-1 odds?
Well, why not? It's happened before. UCLA just did it, 3 years ago, right, Stormy? Didn't they just do it then? Although this is 40 seems a little light here for Colorado State, considering they're coming from the Mountain West, and you've been reading all those Mountain West stats to me. So I don't know about that one, but why not? It's happened before, so it qualifies for a why not.
Yeah, and a Mountain West team went to the Final Four last year as well. I agree. I would like more than 40-1 on a team like CSU based on their seeding. But UCLA did it. VCU did it before that in 2011. Anything is possible. I could say why not. Probably not going to throw it in the account, but if you forced me, I'd throw a wager in there. Why not? Let's go to the NFL. The Baltimore Ravens. I'm going to upgrade you from Gus Edwards to King Henry in the running back room. Could you say why not to the Ravens scoring one or more rushing touchdown in every single regular season game next season? Pays 8-1.
Yeah, I think that's an easy why not, right? Because, they are a ground attack team. And if you have, let's face it, if you have Derrick Henry and you're inside the 2, you're going to bang it in there and keep your quarterback fresh. Why take the risk? Look, one of the things, working on this other kind of project that I've been talking about the league, I think to me, one of the things that makes football a good defense is the ability to make teams not allow teams not to run the ball in the red zone for touchdowns. Rushing touchdowns is the killer because it's the path of least resistance. And so the Ravens and the Eagles, who do it so well in terms of that, tush push and their ability to get it, it makes red zone offense so much more effective because the field shrinks and it's hard to have those windows to throw the ball in. So, yeah, I could definitely see that. I'd be all over that.
Yeah, I love it. The best rushing attack in the National Football League, led by their 2-time MVP quarterback, Lamar Jackson, just gets better with Derrick Henry. I think it's a very reasonable. $100 wins you $800. Why not? Let's go back to college hoops. The 1 seeds in this year's tournament, UConn, Houston, Purdue, North Carolina. Could you say why not to none of them making the Final Four? Plus 450.
Yeah, I don't know if I could say why not. I mean, Connecticut's too good, right? I can't say that. I was ready to go there.
The East is hard.
I know, but Connecticut is battle tested. They're good. They have been through the rigors. I think they won't back down. And so, I'm having a hard time saying. I have UConn in my five. I can't say that because I put them in there.
I feel like, I agree. I'm not saying why not here. I feel like at least one of them will get through. I don't know which one it's going to be. UConn, it's such a gauntlet in the East with all of those conference champions coming out of it. You got to get through Auburn, which is playing really good basketball right now. I don't know. Yeah, so no why not for me on that one. Kirk Cousins, he's got a new home. Everybody's talking about it's going to be sunshine and rainbows out there in Atlanta. Kirk Cousins is the missing piece. This offense is going to be clicking on all cylinders. Could you say why not to Kirko throwing 40-plus touchdown passes next year, 12-1?
No, I couldn't say why not to that. I think to me, there's too much uncertainty in that for me. I think you got to examine. They still have Bijan Robinson. They're going to try to run the football a little bit effectively. 40's an awful lot. I'm going to go. I can't say why not to that.
See, I don't like betting on or against players that are coming off of injuries because you just don't know what you're going to get. And for as excited as I am about him in Atlanta and to see what he can do with the pieces around him, he's still an aging quarterback coming off a really tough injury. Same thing with Aaron Rodgers. Coming off an Achilles, I get that you guys are medical marvels and the way that science has advanced is remarkable, but it's still, it's not foolproof. I just don't know what we're going to get here yet.
I don't either. I agree with you. I agree with you completely.
Will an 11 seed upset a 6 seed in the tournament this year? The last time we went without one was 2004. Only one 11 seed won last year in round 1. Pitt beat Iowa State. Do you think that we get another one this year? The no is 6-1 if you think it does not happen.
No, I think why not is that this one will happen because let's be clear. We know the committee is all over the place, right? We know that some of the seedings aren't exactly accurate. So why not an 11 seed beating a 6 seed? I think you could easily say that with a lot of documentation based on what we've seen out of the committee in terms of the seeding and how this is all played out. Like Harry said in the last block, I mean, the fact that that Kansas, where they are, is a 4 seed is a little bit misleading.
I think with the exception of Duquesne and BYU, all of these are up for grabs. Like NC State played awesome in the ACC tournament. They've got Texas Tech. Oregon, Dana Altman doesn't lose in the first round of the tournament. They've got South Carolina. And then you already told me how much you like New Mexico against Clemson in the 11-6. So I'm with you. This would not be my favorite tournament wager, even though I know that 6-1 is attractive. It's just hard to believe one of these 11s won't win. The Carolina Panthers, so we have the 49ers and the Chiefs, both teams that played in the Super Bowl last year. We have their regular season wins out there already. The third team that DraftKings decided to add in there was Carolina, over under 4.5. They also have a prop for the Carolina Panthers to win 10 or more regular season games. Could you say why not 14-1, Michael?
No, I'm not saying why not to that. No.
I tried.
You got to get good before you get great. You got to get good before you get great. 10 wins is hard to do. 8 wins. If they can get to 8 wins, I think it's a miracle. I think it would be great for them. So you've got to build up to get to that. Why not? No, there's no way I think they can win 10. They've lost too many guys on defense, and I know they'll get better as the year goes on, and they've improved their offensive line, or at least they hope they have with all the additions. And look, there's so much money in this offensive line. Their top 7 paid players, 5 of them are offensive linemen for Carolina.
And listen, I don't have anything against Canales by any means. I love what he did for Baker Mayfield. Obviously, he had a ton of experience in Seattle with Russell Wilson, but I'm still laughing at Luke Combs' comments. Like, I'm sorry, the guy that led the 20th best offense in the league didn't really move the needle for me this past year to be my head coach. I'm with you. I don't see 10-plus wins happening for this team, but at the 4.5 for their regular season win total, I could maybe lean over there, seeing if they could put some things together, improve from 2 to 5.
Yeah, me too.
How about a former Carolina Panthers running back in Christian McCaffrey? Could you say why not to CMC getting over 2,000 rushing yards? 12-1 is the prop on DraftKings.
I would say no way, because it would be wrong for the Niners to give him the ball that much and not preserve him for the season, for the postseason. I think to me, you got to be able to be smart with him. Less of Christian means more of him. So, no, you're not getting me to go there. Does he have the talent to get 2,000 yards? Yes. But he may not be left standing, and he may not be the same back in January when you need him that he was when he was getting all those yards. I think, to me, a little bit of less of him would be more. I think I've said this for a while since the offseason began. If I were the Niners, I want another back to kind of share some of the load and save him for the end of the year. Kind of like a reliever with Rivera. The last 8 games, okay, here we go. Not that they're not trying to win the first 9, but the last 8, we got to have it.
One more. When I asked you earlier about the 1 seeds potentially being held out of the Final Four, you said no. At least one of them's going to make it. You were thinking maybe it's UConn. What about Purdue or North Carolina to win it all in a bounce-back spot? Purdue lost in the first round last year to Fairleigh Dickinson. North Carolina didn't even make the tournament at all. Could you say why not to one of them going all the way and getting it done?
You could get me on that, yeah. I mean, it might be Purdue's time. It just might be. And in North Carolina, we know they're a good team. Now, they may not be playing well at the end of the year, but we've seen UCLA not play well at the end of the year and get to the finals. They've got a good team, so why not?
One of our amazing folks behind the scenes, Rob, has coined producer Elliot as Purdue Sir Elliott, as he's looking for the Boilermakers to go all the way 7-1 for Purdue to win it all, 13-1 for North Carolina to bounce back after missing the tournament last year. Michael, this is fun. I'll see you tomorrow, my friend.
Thank you, Stormy.
Keep it locked right here for more betting content. The Sharp Money Crew is up next on VSiN and DraftKings Network rolling on as well. Have a great day. Good luck with your bets.